Chinelo Nwankwo was the only daughter of Chief Nwankwo, a billionaire businessman in Enugu. She had the beauty that could make men lose their breath, the elegance of a queen, and the poise of a woman who had seen the world. But beneath her luxury and wealth lay a deep, unspoken wound. Every man she had ever loved had broken her heart. From her days at the university, Chinelo's relationships had been glittering on the outside but empty within. The first man, Efani, had swept her off her feet with sweet words. But after a year, she discovered he was only interested in her father's connections to grow his business. He left her for another woman the moment a bigger opportunity came. The second heartbreak came from Chike, a church brother who appeared so genuine and humble. Chinelo thought she had found a man who loved her so. But she was wrong. Chike's warmth turned cold when she refused to help him with a 10 million Nigerian nairas loan for a business he barely explained. Within weeks, he was gone, leaving her with unanswered calls and the echo of betrayal. By the time she met Emeka, a wealthy oil merchant, Chinelo thought maybe dating someone who was already rich would save her from being used for her money. But Emeka wasn't after her wealth, he wanted her status. To him, she was more of a trophy to show off at parties. He didn't care for her feelings, her dreams, or her heart. Each heartbreak dug a deeper hole in her trust. One evening, after crying in her room for hours, Chinelo told herself, enough. She decided to find a man who would love her for her, not for her father's billions. And to do that, she had to strip away the gold that drew the wrong men to her. With determination, she moved to a quieter town in Abia State. She rented a small one-room apartment and took up a modest job at a local bakery. Her designer clothes were packed away. She wore simple cotton dresses. Her hair was neatly tied with scarves, and she walked to work every morning like every other young woman in the neighborhood. It wasn't easy. She had to learn to live without the comforts she had always known. The bakery's owner, Mama Grace, treated her kindly, but the pay was small. Sometimes, Chinelo would walk home hungry because she had to save her little salary. Yet, for the first time in years, she felt free. No one looked at her as a rich girl. One Saturday morning, while she was arranging bread loaves on the shelf, a tall, handsome man walked into the bakery. His name was Obinna, a civil engineer who had just returned from a project in Port Harcourt. He had a warm smile and spoke with a gentleness that made her heart flutter. He came again the next day, and the next, each time buying bread he could easily have bought elsewhere. Their conversations grew longer. They talked about life, family, and dreams. Chinelo noticed that Obinna never once asked where she lived, how much she earned, or who her family was. He seemed more interested in her laughter than in her pockets. 3 months passed, and Obinna asked her out. Their dates were simple, walks in the park. Small restaurants, evenings spent talking under the moonlight. Yet, they were the most genuine moments Chinelo had ever shared with a man. She began to fall in love. One evening, as they sat by the roadside eating roasted corn, Obinna said, "Chinelo, I know this may sound strange, but I don't care about how much money a woman has. I've seen too many men chase after rich women for the wrong reasons. I believe love should be about the heart, not the pocket. Unfortunately, these days, a lot of men just want financially independent women so they won't have to carry any responsibility. But for me, it's not like that." Chinelo's heart swelled with emotion. She almost told him the truth then. But she held back, afraid he might see her differently. Months later, Obinna proposed to her in the most heartfelt way. He knelt in front of the bakery, holding a simple silver ring. Tears streamed down Chinelo's face as she said yes. It was only a week to their introduction ceremony when she decided to tell him the truth. She took him to her family mansion in Enugu. Obinna stood frozen at the sight of the tall gates, uniformed guards, and luxurious cars. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier," Chinelo said, her voice trembling. "This is who I am. My father is Chief Nwankwo, and I am far from poor. I disguised myself because I wanted a man who would love me without knowing my wealth." If this changes anything, you can walk away. Obinna stared at her for a long moment. Then smiled. Chinelo, I love you for who you are, not for where you come from. You could have been the poorest woman on earth, and I'd still want you. Money doesn't scare me, and it doesn't move me either. You are my treasure. At that moment, Chinelo knew she had finally found the love she had always searched for. Their wedding in Enugu was a blend of glamour and genuine joy, attended by family, friends, and even Mama Grace from the bakery. And as they danced under the sparkling lights, Chinelo whispered to herself, "Love is not about gold, it's about the heart that beats for you."